About Wisconsin and Miami University of Ohio. Billy Edwards comes in from Maryland. So much excitement about what he's going to bring to this offense as Luke Fickell heads into year 3 at Camp Randall. And then, of course, we saw the same thing that we've seen each of the last 2 years, which is his transfer starting quarterback goes down early. So Billy Edwards goes out. Danny O'Neal comes in and settled in and really was able to come back and win that game. But what did you take away from what you saw from Wisconsin last night?
Yeah, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately, I was sick about that. I think everybody was. But the positive side of that was that they won the game, number one, and they had a shutout. To me, their defense looked like it played, and I don't like using the word played faster than what they had the last few years, but I'm going to say that they were more confident in what they were doing. And, Luke did, I think they signed 14 players in the transfer portal. They did not go crazy and try to bring in 30 new guys. I mean, they developed a lot of players. They brought in some guys at positions they thought they had to, but it was not one of these top schools that went over the top bringing in new guys. So he's trying to develop his players, add where you needed to. Obviously, Billy Edwards and some guys he added in, but I think as long as you play good defense and you can keep committed to the running game, you're going to have a chance. The one thing that did show up with the new offensive coordinator, there was a lot more motions, in shifts and all that stuff, which is a little bit different from what they've done the last couple years. I thought that was a little bit different. How much that helped them, I don't know. But I do think when you look at the numbers, you say that, and I don't want to say, remind me a little bit of old Nebraska, Ashley, but it kind of did. They played great defense. They ran the ball, and the quarterback is going to have to make some plays when he has to. That's kind of where they're at right now. So I don't know. I would just focus in on getting better, running the ball, keep that defense going, and your quarterback at this point has just got to kind of manage things.
Yeah, and you hope that Billy Edwards will be back. Obviously, we saw him. He left the field on his own accord in the second quarter, came back, was watching on the sideline, and Luke Fickell said there's no update, but we will keep an eye on that for you. And to your point about the defense, Fickell always talks about playing complementary football. And so the first shutout that the defense has ever pitched since he's been there, first since 2022. We'll see if Jeff Grimes and the offensive coordinator, whoever his quarterback is moving forward, can get things done because they have a gauntlet of a schedule coming their way. They go to Tuscaloosa in week 3. It's Middle Tennessee at home next week. All right, let's go to another Big Ten MAC showdown on Thursday night. Minnesota and Buffalo. PJ Fleck has been so high on Drake Lindsey as quarterback. I mean, he's been talking about him all season long. The redshirt freshman quarterback came in, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have 1 pick, but it was the workhorse Darius Taylor who carried the ball 30 times. So what stood out to you from the way the Gophers were able to win last night?
Well, that's PJ Fleck's DNA. That's Minnesota's DNA. Run the ball, play good defense, and make plays when you have to in a passing game. That's kind of what we saw. I just hope that PJ doesn't go overboard with the passing game, which I don't think he will. He loves his quarterback so much. He's got so much confidence in him. But I still think he's young and he's learning. That showed up last night at times. You can see the ability. He can make big throws down the field. He did that last night. But I think that the nucleus is going to be the run game. I was expecting him to run the ball a little bit better last night, I'll be very honest with you. But I'll tell you what, they got the finest offensive line coach around in Brian Callahan. So you know this offensive line is going to get better as the year goes on. And defensively, that defensive front, I tell you what, I was watching those guys. They've got size, they've got athleticism. They were given fanatical effort. And anytime you have a defensive line that can make plays like these guys do, sideline to sideline, it's going to give you a chance to play great defense. And that was good to see because obviously he lost his defensive coordinator last year. So he promoted the safeties coach to move up and run the defense, and they have not lost a step on that at all. So they got a great defense. I'm confident the run game will get better. And so will the young quarterback. They got a good football team.
Yeah, I mean, and Drake Lindsey got a chance to learn under Max Brosmer, and it's something that we're going to talk about a little bit later upcoming on the show, of just what it means for a quarterback to be able to come in and not start right away and to be be able to sort of earn his chops and learn and be in that QB room against a guy like Max Brosmer, who had a lot of success in his 1 year at Minnesota. They've got next week Northwestern State right here on Big Ten Network. How about another game we saw on the Big Ten Network last night, our first BTN football game of the year? Ohio University and Rutgers. And this one started really well for Greg Schiano and the Scarlet Knights. It looked like it was just going to be a blowout runaway, but things got interesting in the second half. Clearly some defensive problems, but a lot to like about the offense and Ethan Kaliak-Manis. What did you take away when you saw how that thing went down last night?
Boy, I thought that Ethan looked so much more mature and confidence with the offense this last night than what he did last year. I mean, he made some accurate throws, number one. He made very good decisions, number two. So I thought that was a step in the right direction. The other thing, too, with Rutgers, I think Greg Schiano's done a great job of adding some portal players to come in. I mean, they had big plays last night. They had 2 runs over 20 yards. You know, and in the past, I mean, they were going to run the ball, obviously, but it was a 2 and 3 yard at a clip situation where last night they hit them on big plays. And so I think this offense is going to be a lot more explosive. You did mention the defense. I mean, you know, and that's Greg's expertise. They brought in Rob Smith, a new defense coordinator, who was with Greg originally at Rutgers, who was with Greg at the Tampa Bay Bucks. So they've worked together. They're on the same page, but that defense needs to shore up. There's no way of hiding that. And Greg now, he'll tell you, when I was up there last year, and he's coaching the special teams himself. And to get that punt block, you know, that's he'll feel good about that.
Those are game changers, and we are going to talk to him in a minute. But I think the thing when you look at Greg Schiano, that you know him very well. He was on your staff in Tampa and Chicago. 5 for 5 on fourth down.
Yeah.
I mean, you go for 5 fourth downs and you get them all, especially one really to steal the game when they could have kicked a field goal to go up 6, but he knew that he would steal it if they got that first down. It tells you sort of what you would indicate, that he's maybe more confident in his offense than his defense.
That's the question we're going to ask him, okay? Well, this is a tease because we got to find out, did he have that much confidence in his offense, or was he scared to death to put his defense back out on the field at the end? I don't know. We'll find out.
We will find out. I mean, the Bobcats averaged 7 yards per play, but I'll tell you what, you'll take a win against a team that won the MAC last year, and their quarterback, we've been talking about him, Parker Navarro, is excellent.
Wow.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
As we mentioned, we are going to be talking to the one and only Greg Schiano. Oh, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? The big board, week 1, all 18 Big Ten teams in action, 4 down, 14 still to play. And of course, no bigger game in the nation than the one going down in Columbus. Number 1, Texas. Number 3, Ohio State. A monster showdown on Big Noon and a massive stage for Ryan Day's redshirt freshman quarterback, Julian Sayin, as he makes his first ever career start.
The message is just win, find a way to win. I think when you start setting expectations, you can get yourself out of whack. We're going to take it one play at a time. He's got a good group of guys around him. He's got a good defense. He's got good special teams, a good offensive line, good skill guys. He needs to lean into those players and find a way to win the game. You know, we'll try to get him into a rhythm and then go from there. And that's really it. You know, it's a start. It's the first game, and you know, we're excited for him. You know, you're seeing him every day get more and more confident, more and more comfortable in what we're trying to do. But you know, we got to get out in the field and play, and it's about time.
I feel like we've been talking about this game for months because
forever.
We have. Dave Wanstead, Ashley Adamson back with you on Big Ten today as we preview the matchup of week 1. And I can't remember a game that's been bigger than this to start the season. Julian Sayin, just go ahead and jump into the deep end. I mean, you look at what is being asked of him and you look at what the environment that he is about to walk into, no matter how many breathing exercises, visualizations, no matter how much you think you are ready for this, nothing can prepare you for a moment like that. So if you're his coach, what are you telling him?
Well, I'm telling him, obviously, just what Ryan said. I mean, take one play at a time. You know, let's go out there and execute this to the best of your ability and trust Trust your preparation. Trust the guys around you that that they're going to block the right people, and if it's a pass, that they're going to be in the right spots where they're supposed to be, and you get the ball out and just do your job. Don't overthink it. You know, and the other thing too that I'm sure Ryan has done is they've sat down. Once he put together the game plan with their coaches, you sit down, and I'm sure he sat down with Brian Hartline, the offensive coordinator, and Brian probably took the list and said, okay, Julian, what plays are you uncomfortable with? And I always thought having a young quarterback, that was as important as anything. As coaches, you can draw up and come up with all these ideas, and everything works on the chalkboard, as we used to say. You know, but now, what is your quarterback comfortable with? And then he'll tell them, and those are the plays that they're going to run. And I think what Ryan said is just win, and they want him to go out and play. You got to keep in mind too, he has probably the best receiver, arguably maybe the best player in college football, right? And Jeremiah Smith, we know that. And then obviously Tate is, you know, a top draft pick receiver himself. So they have skill guys where that's the dilemma. Sure, we could run it and make it a quarterback-friendly offense, but in the same time, number one, I've got these skilled players around me that can make big plays, and number two, we're playing a team that has one of the better defenses in the country. So we're probably going to have to be balanced and open it up. We're not going to be able to go out and hand it off 30 times and beat Texas. Some teams we might do that and let our young quarterback get his feet on the ground. This is not that type of game.
Well, and you remember what happened in the CFP semifinal last year when Jeremiah Smith was held to one catch for 3 yards. I mean, Pete Kwiatkowski, the defensive coordinator at Texas, does a tremendous job, and they've got another unbelievable unit on that side of the ball. There's another young quarterback in this game that a lot of people are excited about and interested in who follow college football, and Arch Manning, a name you may recognize. Again, same thing. I mean, he's started 2 games. He's played a little bit more than Julian Sayin, but he's going against an Ohio State defense that, even though they lost a ton of guys to the draft, I mean, this is another phenomenal group.
It's crazy because think about this. Archie's thrown 12 passes since last September. Okay, 12 in the game, and he's expected to win the national championship. He's expected to win the Heisman. He's expected to win the first player in the draft. And can you imagine those quarterback meetings? He's got Sark talking to him, all their offensive coaches, and then he looks down at his phone and he's got a text from his uncle Peyton saying, remember now when you're in the red zone. And then his phone buzzes and he looks over and it's Eli. Do not throw the ball in this versus it. And then his grandpa. I mean, it's unbelievable. But in this football game, let's not lose sight. Yes, I'm a defensive-minded guy. Matt Patricia, the new defensive coordinator for Ohio State. You know, I know Matt, and Matt now, he comes from that Bill Belichick mentality. And what's Bill Belichick mentality on defense? You're going to take away what the other team does. Everybody talks about that. But having faced Belichick for years, 1 week it was a 3-4 defense. 1 week, the next week it was a 4-3. The next week it was a bunch of blitz. So right now, I promise you that Arch Manning and the Texas offense, Sarkisian, the coach, they don't know what Matt Patricia is going to run with this Ohio State team. And Ohio State, sure, they graduated a lot, but they still got Styles, they got Caleb Downs, they got some of the best players in the country at key positions. So you know, what type of offense are you going to run against Matt Patricia when you don't know what defense you're going to get? There's going to have to be a lot of X and O and strategy work with both sides during this game. This is going to be a great job from a coach's perspective just to observe the adjustments that they make and what players can make the quickest adjustments. Hey, Julian's going to have to do that. I mean, Ryan Day is going to go in and say, you know what, Texas is not playing this coverage. They're doing this different. So we got to do this. If they're doing X, we got to do O, and he's going to have to make those adjustments on the move too. That'll be a big part of a big game like this.
It is going to be so fun to watch, and I think the nice thing is, given the 12-team playoff now, this game will be a barometer for where these teams are, but it's not going to be a season-defining win or loss for either team. So looking forward to that one on Big Noon. So Julian Sayin maybe has the toughest week 1 assignment of any Big Ten quarterback or any quarterback in the country. But how about some other quarterbacks? Michigan, New Mexico, how fired up are Wolverine fans to see Bryce Underwood finally make his debut, the #1 overall recruit in the 2025 class. They've been talking about this guy for so long, the 4th true freshman quarterback to start for Michigan in the modern era. Same thing, when you think about what you can expect from him, he's a special talent. He's got all the tools. He's got a ton of confidence. He just turned 18 like 10 days ago. So what are you anticipating?
Well, they got a new offensive coordinator there, okay? Chip Lindsey. And Chip Lindsey was a head coach at Troy State. He been a coordinator at 6 different schools. So you got an offensive coordinator that has run a variety of different offenses, has coached a lot of different players. So I think, that's a real good thing. You got a new coordinator and a new quarterback. So hopefully they've put this thing together from the get-go and come up with the best plan where obviously Bryce can be successful. That's what you want. I think the other thing, too, with Sharon, the head coach of Michigan, his Jim Harbaugh influence, and by Jim Harbaugh influence, I mean, it's going to be a quarterback-friendly offense. He's not going to fall into this trap and open it up and start throwing the ball around. That's not going to happen. So I think, the influence of the head coach and the mentality that he has, the importance of running the football is really, really going to help Bryce. I mean, that's the best thing. And then they got a defense. Think about the offense last year was almost non-existent. And I don't want to get into this too much, but I think the one guy in the Big Ten in the country that probably didn't get the loving he deserves recognition-wise is Wink Martindale. Because I questioned him on this show, not his football ability. I've known Wink for a long time. But I said, this guy has been a 20-year NFL guy, and he's known for blitz, blitz, blitz in the NFL. How is he going to communicate with college players at Michigan and get them to buy into his system and get them to go out and play? And he did an unbelievable job. So it's going to be a little bit with Matt Patricia. We talked about Ohio State, what he's dealing with. NFL guys coming to college. Now you got to change the what you do X and O wise and be able to communicate with your players. Get them to buy into you and what you're trying to teach them. So I think that the good news is, yes, they graduate a lot of players, but they got good depth on defense. They're going to be solid on defense. I think they'll run the ball well enough. And it's really going to give Bryce. I'll be curious to see what they do with the new coordinator because it's going to be different. How much? We'll wait and see.
Yeah, it will be. They lose Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. I mean, 2 first-round tackles. Those are hard guys to replace. But you know what I like? A man who can admit he's wrong on television. That was, questioning Wink Martindale. And then, yes,
I did. I mean,
I appreciate
hats
it.
Off to Wink.
Hats off to Wink.
Unbelievable job.
And they need to have a good opening game against New Mexico because they head to Norman, Oklahoma for week 2 for what will be a big game. All right, out west, the Oregon Ducks are breaking in a new quarterback in Dante Moore. He's got more experience than Julian Sayin or Bryce Underwood, but 5 starts as a freshman at UCLA. He then transfers to Oregon his sophomore year. Yeah. And this was after Dylan Gabriel had already committed. So he knew he was going to go there and he was going to sit and he was going to learn. And I think from a growth standpoint, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but the ability to be able to be in that quarterback room with one of who I think is one of the best quarterback coaches and offensive minds in the country right now, in Will Stein, what does that do and what are you expecting from Dante Moore?
Well, the biggest change that I expect with Oregon, with Dante compared last year to Dylan Gabriel, is down the field throws. I didn't realize this till I started looking at it close because everybody would talked about Gabriel's 71% completion ratio. But then when you look at everything after the season closer, they were in the bottom 10 in college football in pass plays down the field. So what does that tell me? That tells me that, yes, we were doing those quick throws. We were doing what we had to do, taking what the defense gives us, running the ball, playing defense. But there's a lot of room to grow and make plays, big plays, with throwing the football. So I think that's, if you ask me, what do I think to be the difference? I think Dante can throw the deep ball. He's got a great arm. He understands the offense. You know, he's been sitting there, as you say, observing. So I think that's the biggest change we'll see. The run game's going to be the same. And I tell you what, we got to give Dan Lanning some credit, because the big talk when Oregon and Washington and UCLA and USC joined the Big Ten, the talk was, are they going to be physical enough? Mm-hmm. This is a passing league out there. This is not a physical Big Ten football. And I think Dan Lanning, coming in here last year, I think he proved that he's got the formula, and he can get the players, and he can coach the schemes that can compete with the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Penn States from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we were there for training camp, and just seeing the depth and the size of the bodies on both of those lines, he's building that thing from the inside out. BTN tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific, against Montana State, a team that won 14 games a year ago. As we welcome the head coach of Rutgers to our big interview. Coach, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for the quick turnaround. I know it was you called it a hairy one last night, but it's always nice to be able to learn from a win rather than a loss. So just biggest thing as you looked at the film last night that stood out to you?
Well, you're right on that. You know, it's much more fun, and it's better in the building when you're teaching from a win, from the W column. So we got a lot to learn defensively. I think, you know, we're not very far off, but we played a really good football team and a good football player in Parker Navarro, and he was a handful. But there's things we need to do fundamentally that when we get those cleaned up, I think we'll be better on defense, because there was a lot of good stuff. It's just, you know, when you have a guy like that, the margin for error is small.
Hey, Greg, congratulations, number one. I'll tell you what is going on with you? You're not completely abandoning defensive coaching, are you? Going for it on 4th down, I mean, what, 5 times, actually, we talked about? Great. I mean, outstanding job of getting it. What happened to just punting the ball and playing defense, man? What's changed in your thinking? I mean, what was behind that? Truly?
Well, you know, I really have a lot of confidence, Coach, in our quarterback and in our offense. And, you know, trying to play to our strengths here early in the season. And that's really what we had to do. Defensively, as the game went on, I felt like we were struggling getting off the field on 3rd down. So being able to continue drives was important. And then, heck, that last one, you know, if you get it, the game's over. We know that, you know, by the time charts, and we just felt like that was the best play. And if we didn't get it, then you know what, they got to go drive and kick a field goal to tie it, or go drive and score a touchdown to win. And you know, we're going to roll the dice there.
Yeah, that was obviously fantastic. I mean, great coaching, great execution, obviously by your offense to get those plays. You know, the way NIL is right now, I relate it in my mind back when we were in the NFL and the free agency. And we used to always say, and you know, we've talked about this, it's not how much money you have to spend necessarily, but it's who you spend the money on and getting the right players. And the Campbell kid last night, the Sheffield kid, I mean, you have done a fantastic job, you and your staff, of going and getting portal players and bringing them in and playing a major role in where your football team is right now. I mean, the explosive plays, I've never seen one of your teams have, I mean, would you have 2 runs over 20 yards, passes over 20 yards, average 11 yards a pass play? This is outstanding, and these transfer portal players were a major part of that. Kind of talk a little bit about your thinking, how you go about getting those type of kids.
Well, much like we used to try to do in the NFL, Coach, as you know, is look at your team and say, where can you really supplement and help make your team better? And, you know, don't try to duplicate the things you already have. And I think we did that. We brought in, you know, CJ is an established veteran back. We had 2 young backs. The 3 of them really did a good job last night. So I think that's going to be a great kind of playing off each other, ham and egging it there. And then, as you mentioned, DT Sheffield. You know, we had a slot who went to the NFL last year, and now we get a guy who comes in here and is really an explosive player. And with KJ and Ian on the perimeter, those 2 big guys, and then a really fast, little bit smaller, quicker guy, I really thought that was a good mix. And then on defense, I think we got some too, like Jacoby Henderson playing on defense. I thought he was a big add, and Cam Miller from Penn State, he was a big add. So we kind of went and looked at what do we need to do to make our team in 25 better. And then the biggest thing with us is, are they a cultural fit? Because as you know, if you bring them in, they're going to make plays. Now, if they make those plays and they're not a cultural fit, they're going to lead people in the wrong direction. But if you bring them in and they make those plays and they are a cultural fit, then they're just going to keep adding to the culture of the team. And that was our strategy, and so far it's working out pretty well.
You know, Coach, we've talked about offense and defense, but we got to talk about special teams. And I know a phase near and dear to your heart, and the number of block punts under you at Rutgers is impressive. But just walk us through that block punt that led to the Cam Miller touchdown. I heard you say in your post-game press conference last night that you actually gave a hat tip to the fans for helping make that happen.
Well, it was right back behind the student section, right? And I wasn't comfortable really going all after the punt with the down and distance it was. And then all of a sudden they get the illegal procedure. They move it back 5 more yards, and we decided to change our call. And that's where, you know, home field advantage, when you have a student section like we did, I was so thrilled. And there had to be 12,000 students packed in there, and they were loud. And that was great. And then to block it and score, as we always say around here, when you block it, you better score, right? It's a great opportunity. The ball's going to go flying. If you do it the right way, the ball's going to go flying to the goal line that we're trying to score on. And that was awesome. That was good stuff.
It was fun to watch. I want to go big picture real quick. Obviously, the success of any football team depends on the alignment of the entire athletic department. And Kelly's in, your new AD, I think about 3 weeks on the job. I saw you share a moment with her pregame when you were getting off the bus yesterday. I'm just curious what you've sort of learned about her leadership and what you think is possible with her coming in.
Well, we're all very excited about having Kelly here, as well as President Tate, right? We've had some major changes at the top of our university, and really, I think they understand what Big Ten football is about, what big-time college football is about, and excited to work with both of them.
Hey, Greg, one last question for me. You know, over the years with Kyle McGunguy and your running backs, I mean, it was always run the ball, and then when you had to throw it, throw it. Last night, I mean, you came right out of the chute offensively, mixing it. I think you ended up with 32 runs and 23 passes, balanced. I mentioned 11 yards per pass play. Do you feel confident enough now with Ethan at quarterback that's because it's a little bit of a philosophy change for you over the years as far as being balanced as compared to being just a heavy run team and throw it when you had to? That was impressive last night. Do you see that the formula going forward?
I do, and you know, it's because we have confidence in Ethan. We have confidence in the offensive line to protect him, right, and the running backs to protect him. But as you know, we're going to run the football, but it sure helps when you can loosen them up with effective back and forth pass run. It should make the run game even better as we move forward.
Coach, my last one for you. I can't let you go without asking you a question about my compadre here. I know you guys go way back and have been on several staffs together. What was something that you learned from Coach Wanstead that you still carry with you?
Well, I texted it to him the day of the game. You know, the more critical the situation, the more basic the call, right? And I used his quote right with our team. You know, clear mind equals fast feet. Cloudy mind equals slow feet. And when you're playing football, you need fast feet. So we believe that. You know, we're going to play hard every single play, and when you know what you're doing, you can play harder.
Good stuff. Anything you would add to that?
No, let's go get number 2. Can't get 2 unless you can't get 2. Right, can't get 2 unless you get 1. You got 1.
All right, Coach, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations, Coach. Best of luck next week.
Okay, thanks, Ashton.
Saturday, we got a huge slate of football coming your way. 5 games on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Purdue and Maryland, both in the noon window, and the rest of the day we stay out west. Oregon, USC, and Washington. It's going to be a late one at Husky Stadium for the Dogs, an 8 p.m. local kick against Colorado State. That is an extra long Taco Bell countdown to kickoff, but the wait will be worth it. Fans fired up to see Damon Williams coming off a full offseason as QB1. As a reminder, he started the last 2 games of the year. He was fabulous in that bowl loss to Louisville, 5 total touchdowns in that game. He finished the season as the most accurate freshman quarterback in the country, and he has a much much better and much deeper offensive line in front of him this year. As we welcome you back to Big Ten Today, presented by Taco Bell. Dave Wanstead, Ashley Adamson with you. A quick thought on Damon Williams. I mean, just having a full offseason under your belt as QB1 and getting all the first-team reps. He's a talented guy, but how much of a difference will that make? Oh,
I think it's going to be immense, because any changes that are taking place from last year, you're going to be right there on top of it. It's not like you're coming in and they're saying, this is the playbook. You know, he's going to be there, and if they throw something out or add something, he's going to be a part of why they're doing it. And I think that's real important for a starting quarterback. The other thing, too, don't lose sight that Damon came from Arizona. You know, so Jed he was recruiting this kid. Probably he's known him since high school. Who knows how long? And give Jed Fish some credit, the head coach, that he knows offensive football. He knows what he wants in his quarterback on and off the field. And for him to instantly, when he goes to Washington, said, "You come with me because you're my guy. I believe in you." I don't know how a quarterback could have any more confidence in that.
Yeah, and it was funny because Jed Fish told us when we were there for training camp. I asked him, I said, "What's it like be able to call plays for a guy, a mobile quarterback like Damon?" And he said, "It makes me a million times better play caller. Like, I call a bad play, but nobody knows because he gets out of it with his legs." You look at him compared to a guy like Drew Allard, and different situations and different expectations, of course, at Penn State or Washington this year. But both guys that coaches have talked about have taken a big step in the offseason. So of those two, if I asked you who needs to take a bigger step in order for their team to be successful, who would you pick? Well,
I think from a pressure standpoint, there's no question. It's Drew. You know, because of the national championship expectations and so forth and so on. And also, you know, I mean, let's be real about this. Last year it was the running game and it was Tyler Warren's show, right? The big tight end, great player. But that old saying of you throw the ball to score points, you run the ball to win games. They got as good a running game as anywhere in the country. There's no question about that. They had over 110-plus yard runs last year. That's like off the chart, okay? And obviously they've got both backs back, you know, Allen and Singleton back, so that won't change. Their offensive line is as good as any. The biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is, okay, Drew, now we went out and got some receivers through the portal. We got some young guys that have earned their time. We're going to do more of a wide receiver passing game. This is a little bit foreign for Penn State. They haven't done much of that. And that's how they're going to score plays this year. That's how they're going to make big plays this year in the passing game. So that's what we really haven't seen, at least I haven't, consistently, because they haven't done it. And I think Drew needs to do this for them to score enough points to win a championship, but he also needs to do it to be balanced on offense and to show the NFL people. They were talking about him being maybe a first-round pick, but can he throw the ball down the field enough? Well, he's going to get a chance to do that this year, and I think he's going to be great. Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. He completed 66% of his passes last year. We'll see the step that he can make in this year with, again, a lot of national championship expectations in State College. All right, let's talk about a couple of veteran quarterbacks coming in, transferring, making their Big Ten debuts tomorrow. Iowa's Mark Gronowski, who dominated at the FCS level, and then Indiana's Fernando Mendoza, who comes over from Cal. And Mendoza is an interesting story. Cal was the only Power 5 school to offer him out of high school. He was originally committed to Yale. He was a third or fourth string guy in Berkeley when he started off there, and then earned the starting position and obviously played well enough. He's got a lot of the tools. Is it going to be like Curtis Rourke, who can make a big jump from spring to fall? When you look at these two guys, which transfer can have a bigger impact on their program this year? Well, you know what? Boy, that's a tough one because they're two different styles completely. But I'll tell you what, playing at the level that Fernando played at Cal, and for throwing for almost 4,000 yards, completing 60-some% of his passes, and Cal's a good program, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, they struggled in the offensive line some, so he had to do a lot on his own, probably more so than what he might at at Indiana, okay? So, and then you got the system at Indiana. You got a top receiver coming back, transferred in last year. You know that you're going to have a solid program with Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, and Signetti. So I think he'll fit in. I mean, they don't do anything by chance. Kirk doesn't. So for them to go and get our man Fernando, they have to believe that he can come in, pick up the ball, and keep it running.
Yeah, and I will point out, I mean, it's obviously at the FCS level, but Gronowski knows championship football. He led South Dakota State to back-to-back FCS championships, which matters. Absolutely,
and I wanted to make one point on him because I'm not slighting him, but he reminds me of the Bo Nix at Oregon, the Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. This kid has played. He played it's his 5th year. He played about 60 games, I think, or more. So he's fallen into that category of a lot of snaps with a lot of success, as you said. Absolutely. No, I like him. I just don't know as much about him at this point.
Yeah, well, you did mention 2 guys who ended up in New York City as Heisman finalists. Right. So we'll see. Iowa fans would love that. They've got Albany in their Week 1 opener. The good news, Coach, is that tonight, the opening Spike Classic takes over the Kohl Center in Madison with 2 can't-miss volleyball matchups as Wisconsin takes on Kansas, followed by Texas against Creighton. Coverage begins 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. 2 Friday night football games for the Big Ten tonight. Michigan State opening year 2 under Jonathan Smith. Spartans host Western Michigan, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Last season, Sparty won 5 games, faded late in several of their losses. Aiden Childs, kind of the big question. Can he take a step in year 2? What are you looking forward to tonight?
I have no question that Jonathan Smith will get this program going in the right direction. And as far as Aiden Childs, there's one thing. It's not his accuracies or anything. He needs to eliminate the turnovers. I mean, they were last in the Big Ten, -8 in turnovers. I don't care who you are. That's going to put you behind the 8 ball as far as winning. And they signed 23 players in the portal. They lost both running backs. So they need to make sure that they have a complementary running game, a lot better than last year, I thought. And last thing is Joe Rossi, their defense coordinator, in his 2nd year, came over from Minnesota where they were top 10 every year. Joe's scheme is sophisticated, I would call it that, complex. And now with his 2nd year, I think the players now will understand it better and perform better. So I think they're going to be a better football team.
Yeah, year 2, you always assume there's going to be a step from year 1, and especially with a quarterback like Aiden Childs, who's getting his 2nd year as the full-time starter. Let's talk about the one in Champaign tonight, because I think excitement is sky high. Illinois and Western Illinois. I mean, on paper, it should go the way of the Illini, but there hasn't been this much excitement, I think, in a long time coming into a season. Ranked 12th in the country. First time in 20 years, I heard Brett Bielema say on Big Ten Today the other day that they've sold out of season tickets. So they've got the quarterback, they've got all the pieces, they've got the ranking, they've got the juice. What are you expecting?
Yeah, and I think, rightfully so, the record last year, the number of wins. And then you look at, obviously, the experience. Brent Bielema has won championships before. He understands what that takes. You got both your both of your coordinators back, offense and defense. So there's no change there. You have your quarterback back. No change there. He's been a 3-year starter. The only thing that I'll be curious to see here tonight is the passing game. Last year, it was Bryant and Franklin were the 2 guys. Pat Bryant was, whenever you needed it, anywhere, at any time, he seemed to come up with the plays. So who's going to fill those shoes is probably the biggest mystery right now in my mind as far as the passing game. But the rest of it is solid, and Brent's going to do. There's nobody better than managing a football team and keeping the expectations where they should be. And it's going to be exciting. I mean, this will be a great night to get off to a good start.
Yeah, and I do think it is interesting because when you go into a game and you've had so much off-season hype and so much excitement about what is possible and the possibility of breaking into the CFP, you do wonder against a team that isn't as talented how they will show up. But to your point, I think Brett Bielema and company will be locked and loaded, and it is going to be a fun one to watch. It's been fun hanging out with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's do it again sometime.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for us today on Big Ten Today, presented by Taco Bell. But don't forget to join us tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern on Tailgate. We got a new tailgate crew. Cam Irwin, Tyvis Powell out at Maryland. I'll be in studio with Brock Vereen. Enjoy the games tonight, and thanks so much for hanging out. Happy Friday, everybody.